I was offered a chance to interview in television, interviewed at Good Morning America, which is a very popular morning TV show here. There was 250 people there. We're taking 25 interns. I'm going to get one of these interviews. So I got the internship and I stayed there through the whole year. When I graduated, they hired me and they offered me a slot for a permanent freelancer. And I'm proud to say I was the only one out of the 25 that was offered a permanent job. I have this company now called 11 Communications, and I set it up like King Arthur, round table. And I literally custom pick what a client needs. I do a lot of media. I will help people get in the media, and I have a full staff. So it's really come full circle because, you know, from an intern helping people. So I'm still coming in early. I'm still working late. I am my own boss now. I do create my own opportunities.
Welcome back to the Take a Chance on You podcast, hosted by me, Alexandra Forsyth. Today, I'm so excited to be passing the mic to Erin Saxon, who is a former Emmy-nominated national television producer who has highlights in Good Morning America, but she is now focusing more on public relations and helping people to take back ownership, host their own campaigns. We're going to talk a little bit about portfolio building today. Erin, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, and Erin is joining us from New York, I believe.
Wait, is my accent that bad? Like, time out, everyone. We've got New Jersey in the house.
I just recently had two guests. Priscilla is from New Jersey, and they have an events company. And
really? They do?
Yeah, they have an events company.
Actually, can you introduce me to her?
Yeah, Priscilla and Robin, it's Lee Labs. I just posted about them on my LinkedIn. Yeah, happy to. We'll talk about that later.
We're already working, people. We're already working.
That's what this podcast is all about, community. But Erin, I wondered if you would give the listeners a little bit of an introduction into who you are and what you do.
Sure. So like we started, as you can hear, well, you know, I really hope I'm turning on the Jersey right now just for fun. But when I was in college, university, I wanted to really be an on-camera newscaster. So here in the States, we have so many different, and I'm not ignorant like about this, like obviously in different parts of the world, there's different accents, and even within the same country, there's different regionalisms and colloquialisms and, you know, like sayings and things like that. So I understand, but in America, we really are kind of right out of central casting. So you have the South, you have, you know, the North, you have the wicked smat in Massachusetts, you have the, hey, forget about it, you know, in New York. So you have these dialogues that, and these accents that are quite distinguished. But in the Midwest, it's really vanilla. So the newscasters are trained to speak like that, where if you really shouldn't be able to tell where a newscaster is from because they're supposed to deliver the news in such a way where everybody can relate to it. So when I was in college, I really started focusing on that kind of career, and I tried to drop the New Jersey. So I'll turn off the New Jersey and just kind of go back into, you know, like my normal voice. But so I went to a very small university, and I knew in 8th grade, I wanted to be in communications, in television. Like I said, I thought I would want to be on camera, but for me, I always was battling weight and like heaviness. I would gain and lose the same 30, 40, then 100 pounds forever. So there's this stigmatism of saying, oh, I want to be on camera so I'm 56. So back in the 70s and 80s when you were, and then graduating in early 90s, like if you want to say you want to be on camera, you're kind of saying to people, I think I'm pretty, you know, and that's not, at least in my brain, that's what I thought it was. That's not what I was saying. I was saying, I think I'm dorky enough and relatable enough in what I think and how I feel that I really would like to be on camera because I think, relate pretty much to every single person out there. I can play in the ultra rich sandbox and I can play in the downtrodden, down on our luck sandbox and have empathy and meet people right where they are. It's just something as an empath I have been able to do. So I am a very good interviewer, though it's fun to sit on this side of the camera with you, Alexandra. I started with those types of studies and being very ambitious, and my family are very good networkers and we're all very supportive of each other. And we like to say we're pretty much just one phone call away from whatever we need for our friends, our family, or whatever, because we're always doing networking and favors for somebody. So I'm a lot of time somebody's one phone call, right? I had a few opportunities in college from the university as well. I interviewed at Good Morning America, which is a very popular morning TV show here. The interview took 6 hours. I did not know that. So lesson number 1 today, kiddies, is ask really good questions before you sign up for something, because I'm this like, oh, I'll wing it girl. And it's fun. I'm amused by things like that. I'm not amused by danger, but like I didn't prep for this interview. And you're like, no kidding. It's really showing, right? So, but it's just my style. I didn't ask a lot of questions because I just was told to be in New York City. So it was 6 hours. There were so many people in the lobby, and I finally started thinking I should ask some questions. There was 250 people there, or two, something like that. And I said, how long is this interview? Because my dad was picking me up because I was still, 19, 20 in the city. I wasn't driving in the city yet, which I could totally do now. And she said, it's 6 hours. And she saw my face and she's like, well, there's 6 departments at Good Morning America. And we let each department have an intern for an hour. And I said, well, overall, not just today, how many applicants are there? And she said, north of 250. And I said, okay. She's like, got any more questions? I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. And I said, how many openings? I said, if you have 6 departments north of 250, how many interns does each department take? Like, obviously, interns aren't there full time, and you're obviously allowing more than one intern per department. And she's like, we're taking 25 interns. And I'm thinking, I would have taken more, but, only because that would have given me a better shot of getting the job. And I immediately, Alexandra, knew this is a very competitive industry. While I was still in college, I had one foot at a frat sorority keg party and one foot in the real world. And I was still just becoming a senior. I was going into my senior year. So when you're in university, as much as you're trying to prepare for that life, you're still enjoying the moment you're in, right? So I went through it and I thought, and I'm very competitive. And I thought, oh, I'm going to get one of these interviews and I'm going to do it. So in my life, I'll always get what I want if I play by the rules, if I work really hard to get it, if I don't harm anybody else by achieving it, and if I'm only going to use it for good, right? So I'm a very boring thriller movie because you'll have that momentum of the girl gets what she wants, and then it's so vanilla. Like I get what I want because I worked really hard for it. So I got the internship and I stayed there through the whole year. I worked there most days because I was in school in Pennsylvania. And so I was able to I didn't want to drive back and forth. That was hours. If they needed me till 10, I stayed till 10. I was there Monday through Thursday and I took a Thursday night class, which is nuts because Thursday night's the best bar night at my school. So I remember missing that. So that was like my grown-up sacrifice. But because I was there so much, they really got to know me and so did the other departments. So when I graduated, they hired me and they offered me a slot for a permanent freelancer. And I'm proud to say I was the only one out of the 25 that was offered a permanent job. So I went from north of 250 to 20. I should have stopped there because it's like the best success story. I was there for quite some time. That's when I started on my track with Barbara Walters. She became my mentor. So for people out there, my son's 21 and he's like, no one knows who Barbara Walters is, I don't think. And I said, I think you're crazy. the guys really put her through the ringer. They weren't nice to her. She started asking really daring questions. She got so many dignitaries and kings and political figures and, to speak and answer questions. Then she started getting celebrities to open up to her. Then Saturday Night Live started making fun of her. And she's just iconic. She passed away a few years ago, and she's very dearly missed. But through that, I then became on her production company. I left Good Morning America and I started working for Barbara directly, and we would literally travel the world. There was 8 of us, and we would travel the world and do private interviews, and they would air prime time. And like I said, you never knew who would be interviewed, but we'd have a process and we would do all the research, all the background, and then we'd get there and then we'd have to do the set. And so we were a full-fledged production company. And I could just go on, but I'm gonna take a break right now in my story just to see if you wanna interject up until now. And obviously, I'm leading up to me becoming a TV producer, but
No,
I just thought
that
you'd wanna talk.
that's not what the podcast is, and I tell the guests every time you come on, and it's your opportunity to spend 40 minutes to an hour talking about whatever you'd like to. But
All right.
I think if I have to interject, what I would
You
say
don't
is
have to.
a couple of points off the top of my head. It's really interesting how you say you don't prepare too much for interviews, because I think there's a lot of, with the younger generations now, I think there's a lot of pressure to get themselves ready for interviews. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of frameworks that have been created over the years that you can use. I've used a few of those frameworks, the STAR model, for example, I used in my early days when I was interviewing just to kind of get my points across. But I think one thing that I would recommend, and possibly you agree, when you look at your CV and cover letter now, it's less about hands-on and it's more about what have you done in the community, different activities and extracurriculars as well. How can you tell that story and tell the story of your brand? So I think that's kind of number one. And then I love how you mentioned you got to know different departments at Good Morning America, because I think that's so important. Again, for younger generations out there, when you're starting work, it's you want to build relationships with your immediate team, but it goes far beyond that.
It's true. I try to tell my son, and naturally he's learning and picking that up. I don't need anyone to become this extreme extrovert if you're not, but I do want everyone to pay attention to what's around you. And not, if you work for 3 people in your team and just across the hall is a different team, just notice what that team does as well. I mean, this is a great opportunity. Even at my age, we need to stay in our lane sometimes, but we don't have to observe in our lane. We don't have to question or think or be curious about the other lanes. When we're driving, we have to notice everything, right? And so we're not swerving around just to keep the silly metaphor going. But, we're staying in our lane and we're doing the job we're hired for, but we are observant and we want to see where everyone else is going and why are they going there, and maybe one day we want to go there too. So
Yeah,
there's something to be said about a natural curiosity and a thirst to network, because like I said before with my family, that's the networking is how you really. I never got a job off of the newspaper or Indeed or Monster. Like, I'm not saying they don't, but for me, I got jobs because they automatically met me. Sometimes they just created the job because they met me, right?
I've had that.
So
Yeah.
there's a difference there. There's coming in through a lead and a network, and or coming in from just a cold SEO, your words match the algorithm they were looking for. That's a huge difference. Neither is better than the other, but one is stronger than one is a human connection and really helps propel it. So if you could have all the words and the letters and the SEO correct and have the great human touch point, you're going to get the job.
Absolutely. And I think, again, love what you mentioned about putting in the work, putting in the hours. It's business at the end of the day. I know you don't like to think about life like that too much. It's then it can make everything feel a little bit less magical in a way. But
Right.
the 9 to 5 or the job that you take on, and as you said, you were staying late, it's putting in the time, putting in the effort with your team as well, and then external teams push the needle.
Exactly. And it's about people noticing that you're doing that without you telling it. There's a little game there that everybody needs to play. And it's never the woe is me. Like Winnie the Pooh has his friend Eeyore, and Eeyore is the donkey, and he's like, it must be nice. Like Eeyore's very envious and jealous. And, there's a way to play you're always seen, but you're not always heard kind of networking support on the team. So you stay late, you come in early, you smile, people notice.
Absolutely. I had somebody recently on the podcast. She's an aspiring actress. She's having a bit of a tough time at the minute, multiple jobs. Entertainment world is so different, as you know. It's very cutthroat. You've got to be so resilient when you're going to all of these auditions.
Yeah.
But she came on and she said when she went for an audition, she followed up with the director one on one and just sent a thank you through email. And he was so
Yeah.
appreciative of that. And it doesn't go unnoticed because you never know when it's going to come back around. And I always say that whatever job you're in, try not to, if you can, burn bridges. Sometimes it can't be avoided, but can, then it's better.
Exactly. When I was with Barbara, I did all the things we just discussed. I came in early, worked late, and I got several promotions. Being that it was a small production company, and I was the youngest, obviously the people older than I, some people got married, somebody else had a baby, some people didn't come back, some people were never leaving. So I knew where I was going to be, and I knew like I hit the ceiling of what I was able to achieve. So I needed to leave because I needed to grow. And in television, it's all about job titles, right? And what they see on the screen at the end of the show. Like it's all about those titles: production assistant, associate producer, producer, coordinating producer, like whatever it is, whatever you want your goal to be, that's what it is. So basically I needed to go other places to get those jobs. And I did that. And I became a producer for a TV show at Dow Jones. And I also was at Rosie for a little while being it was like a producer, but they had different job titles there, a little more detailed than other shows because it was a big show. It was a heavy lift. There was a lot of research to do. She was always surprising guests with, I hear you collect pens, and so how did they know that? Well, somebody like me is doing all this research and surprising, that kind of thing. So I was there for a little while, and then I went to Dow Jones and was there for about a year. And then the show got canceled, which happens, and it freaks parents out. And because my parents were like school teachers and in education. So they were getting tenure and great benefits after 3 years. And, they just stayed. And here I'm jumping from show to show. And so it just drove them nuts. But anyway, like that was fun to just have them go like, I don't get it. And so when the show got canceled, the staff was quite worried, but I don't know. I've never been worried about my career. I worry about other things in my life, but my career, I've always felt okay about. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I just always felt like I'm going to land on my feet. I just have that calm feeling in my brain that it's just going to work out.
We love our careers so much. And it can be hard when maybe we don't get the job, or as you say, you're going in between different shows. And I'm the same realistically with the podcast. And then being a consultant, doing public speaking, I'm not doing your casual 9 to 5. And sometimes I sit back and think, oh gosh, maybe a better job security would be nice to free up a little bit of mental space. But at the same time, I'm the same as you. I know it will always work out. With the podcast, it's always worked out. I've always met somebody who's introduced me to somebody else. So there's that networking piece again.
I'm glad you can relate to that. Yeah, because, I just feel that we have to know what we really want to be. And in the beginning, you don't. My son says right now he wants to be an entrepreneur because I think he sees me. Now I am an entrepreneur. At the time of this story, I wasn't an entrepreneur, but I felt free enough to hop, right? But not dabble. I wasn't dabbling. There's a huge difference between somebody who can't keep a job and what I was doing, which was I would hop and I would stay there for a year, or a certain amount of time, and then I'd try to jump. But in my industry, that's what you do. Your bio tells a story. You you want the story to be reflective of your brand. So even early on, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was saying, what's my brand? What do I want? Even if I don't know what title or how much money I'm going to make, like, what is my brand? Because I was unknowingly segueing into being an entrepreneur. And I think these days, what's your thing? What are you going to do? What's your solve? I'm an entrepreneur because at the end of this story, you're going to learn that I created a consulting company that bridged the gap between the media and any company that wants to be in the media. I saw a need. I saw a weak link in the chain. I saw something that, like comedians, they make us laugh because they call out the one missing sock in the dryer. Where did the other sock go? Are they on an island somewhere partying? Like, there's these obvious things that happen, these obvious breaks in pattern, and comedians make fun of it. I just made a business out of it. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do. Solar panels for electric. It's just the link is too expensive electric bills. So now they're putting, you know what I'm trying to say? Sometimes it's not this big invention, but I am seeing a little break. And I'm like, can I create something that's so niche that it fixes that? And that's how I became an entrepreneur,
I think
right?
being an entrepreneur, like you say, it's trying to solve a problem that other people are in need of. It's a solution that you're providing ultimately that isn't possibly on the market yet, or it hasn't been
Right.
developed yet. So you're coming to the table with this fresh idea.
Yeah. So when the TV show got cut, I went back to my desk, not exactly worried. I would have probably started thinking, well, heck, where am I going to land? And the people from the production company called Barbara Walters, Bill Getty, and my phone was ringing. I'm like, hello? And Bill Getty, who was my boss at the production company, said, what are you doing? And I said, my show just got canceled. He's like, oh man, I'm sorry. He's like, actually, I'm sorry for them. I'm not really sorry for you because I'm calling to offer you a job anyway. And so I was like, bing. And I said, what's the job? And he said, well, we want to offer you a producer job. And we just got we just got greenlit for a TV show. And I'm like, great. He's like, good, start Monday. I'm like, sure. So I didn't negotiate money. I knew Monday I would be, right? But I knew they were going to get me competitively where I needed to go. It was a no-brainer. So he's like, all right, so I'll see you Monday. Just come to the production offices. We're going to work out here. And then eventually we'll go to West 66th Street. He's like, we're going to do it out of ABC. I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm like, wait. He's like, what? I said, the show. He's like, yeah. I said, do you got a name for it? And he's like, we have a working title. I'm not sure if we're going to keep it, but right now it's called The View. So I'm like, all right. So they kept the show title, and I was one of the original producers of The View. And so we launched that show, and I was there a bunch of seasons, got a bunch of Emmy nominations, and that's where I saw the disconnect. And the disconnect wasn't with the show. The disconnect wasn't with the media. I still consider myself a TV producer, a member of the media. I produce lots of content on all my socials. Follow me. And the content I produce has
Stop
more to
plugging, not yet.
but I just like there's nothing to buy. I like being relatable, right? My audience that hangs out with me on my socials, we're in that group, and there's a lot of guys too, because it's self-deprecating humor or it's just fun things that I'm doing. I'm a little bit of a gypsy. So I'm always like, I'm in New Jersey today. But when we talked last week, I was in Massachusetts. I'm going to get ready to live at the beach. So this summer, people who hang out with me will be like beaching. It's going to be beachy. But anyway, so when I was at The View, I would begin to get the reputation of taking a lot of people in PR, public relations calls. I got the reputation, I don't know if they'd agree now, but of being one of the nicer people to pitch. So pitching the media is hard, I think. I hate it. I hate doing it now that I'm on the PR side, at public relations side of it, because it bothers me that I have a great idea. I'm at a TV show. That idea would just book. I would just put it up on the board and I'd produce it and millions of people would see it. What bothers me about me being in public relations is now I think of the idea and now I have to sell it. And I need somebody like me on the producer side to also agree that they like my idea. that's where timing comes in. I feel like a telemarketer. I know what I'm doing. So that's always bothered me. So that's a little foreshadowing. I ran my first public relations company with like 12 employees. We were international and we put everybody on every TV show, every magazine. We created, I don't know how many New York Times bestsellers. I really created a company that bridged the gap between the media and anybody that wanted to be in the media. At first, I was just helping people be in the media. I would look at their pitch letter. And this is PR firms I would consult. I would consult publishers. So there was a business to business aspect of what I do, what I still do. A lot of times, because I speak at conferences, the clients find me or they don't have public relations or whatever. And so they'll ask me to consult on their brands. And I love that too. I'll do like a planning session. Sometimes it's in person. Most of the time it's just like this. And it could be like a 4-hour session and I've got whiteboards here and we'll rework it and I'll just create marketing plans for them. So that's what I left The View because I realized that there was more people that didn't know how to get into TV, into magazines, into radio, podcasts, newspapers than the people calling. A lot of times we were making up our own segments, our own ideas, and we would be hunting for our own guests. So they were competing against people that we were searching for because we knew exactly who we wanted. So once you figure that out, that makes it very competitive, way more competitive than my 250, 25 spots, one job at the end of it. Like I'd take those odds versus now a person getting a TV interview by pitching any producer, right? And it's an art form to pitch the media. It's like you really need to know what you're doing. So I ran that company. It was called the Idea Network. And I ran that company for a good long time. And I merged that company with another and stayed on with the merged company, negotiated my staff and everything. And we merged. And I ran that company for maybe a year just to make sure it settled and it was safe and everybody got a great deal from it. And then I went out on my own again. And I have this company now called 11 Communications. And I set it up like King Arthur round table. And I literally custom pick what a client needs and what we do. So that's what we do. We're a full service agency. I do a lot of media. I will help people get in the media and I have a full staff. So it's really come full circle because from an intern helping people. So I'm still coming in early. I'm still working late, but I am my own boss now. I do create my own opportunities. And when you're the boss, though, you always have to hunt for new opportunities. And I'm still trying to figure out how to solve problems within my day-to-day of what I know. And so that's what I've been trying to do mostly, right? In my consulting and what
Mm.
I
I think you're amazing. There's always something. I get so emotional when I do the podcast with every guest because you just have such inspiring stories to share with the listeners. And obviously, you're across the pond. I think for the listeners, it's always an exciting opportunity to hear about life on the other side. But you've done
It's
so
very
much.
New York. It is one of those very, if I told the story and there'd be some music underneath,
Yeah, there will be.
like I could tell
There.
it in a where it would be like that girl and I throw my hair hat up in the middle of Times
Yeah.
Square. It is very much that story, I will say, but I really love helping people. I love that, and what I like now is that I'm able to not worry so much about the money. I don't need to charge a certain amount. There's certain things that just cost a certain thing because a lot of times with the Arthur Round Table, I'm now bringing in a team for you. But there's people that I come across that I know they need the help. I know they need the guidance, but they don't have the budget to even do a one-on-one. So fine. So I created a group. In fact, I'm launching a new group soon, like within the next couple of weeks where we meet. I've done this for years. Like we meet the first and third Monday and I'll do sets of like 8 people and it's about an hour and a half. So then I do live consulting, hot seat for that person, but then everybody stays on and they listen and learn based on everybody else's hot seat. So you get an hour and a half with me, probably 10 or 12 minutes of just you and I talking to each other. But because it's marketing, PR, public relations, some of this is step and repeat. So it's the same principle, but you're doing a book, you're doing a piece of jewelry. It's different, but it might not be, you know? So there's a lot of learning and value that goes on in those groups.
So if I put you on the spot right now and say,
And
Erin, knowing me, Alexandra, knowing the podcast, what would you suggest in terms of your own top tips from a PR media perspective? And why not? Let's just do it now for a couple of minutes.
okay, let's do it. So tell me I'm going to always start with a few questions. Tell me where you are right now and where you want to be in a year.
So right now, the podcast is across all streaming platforms and it's been running for 12 months. We've reached 245,000 organically across social media. So no paid ads, no marketing. It's just been putting out content, being persistent, showing up authentically with the guests. We're transatlantic, which is exciting. So it's UK and a lot of US based listeners tuning in. That's allowed me to take a step back and think, okay, this isn't local. And I think that's the vision. I'm launching live events with the podcast. So we're going to be doing a pilot across the UK soon. I'll be sharing some more information. I want to take it to the US and then world's your oyster, really. I don't want it to just be seen as a podcast. Although I love the industry, I want it to be seen as a bit more community driven, getting people together. I love the idea of the hot seat, what you mentioned. I'd love to do that with the audience and have them come on
Yeah,
a bit like a show, really, a bit like a TV show where people come on, ask questions, they get answers, and
right.
we help each other.
Okay. So I was just doing a little research while you were chatting. So for me, I think that what I would do with you from what I've seen is I would carve out a little more brandability
Mm.
as the host of the show. Your podcast, you give the mic away so quickly that are people really getting to learn,
Yeah.
right? Why, like, you're like, "Hi," you know? And so which
No, I do the
no.
intro.
And the reason why I don't want you to do that so quickly is because are we really learning about you, right? You have to make sure that your brand stays along with the popularity of it. So far it is, so this is great.
Mm.
A lot of times what I do is just future think things. So I try to come up with layers of marketing. I'm very impressed with that you have such a robust following and you're not doing any ads or anything. Right, honestly, right away, I'm thinking, oh, in my round table, maybe I'll hire you to do that for clients because you know you're doing something that these people aren't doing. And I'm not wanting to come across like I know every avenue of marketing. So that's where I think PR firms really do clients an injustice, right? Because there's agencies that say, who are really great with public relations, marketing, social media. And I'm like, there's no way. Now I'm Jersey again. There's no way you're that good with all of that. I would, if I was your consultant, I would do 2 campaigns. I would keep going with your podcast, create it as a brand. So we'll put a plug in that for 1 second. And then I'd also create an intentional brand. Like you're doing a lot of speaking. You're already doing it. I
Yeah.
just think that there needs to be more of you. So if I just put your name, and it's a common name, but it's not that common, right? When I put in your name, I want to immediately find all this stuff about you as a human, as the creator of, and then just run it and boost it a little bit. So you have a little more of a footprint. Like it's not going to take a lot, just maybe like just a little, just like not much at all. It probably like within a month you could get her done. And then what I
Interesting.
would do, because you're really on the right path, but you're so
Yeah.
nice towards the show and you're so nice towards the guests.
Fine, I know.
So nice.
I know what you're saying. I think this is where the live events come in, if I'm honest. I think this is really where personality wise, obviously I'll be interacting with the audience a lot. I'll be doing the full hosting. So it will be different because online it's hard to, unless you are a full-time content creator and you're happy enough to share a lot about you online. I would rather do that in person. I'd rather tell stories.
True.
I guess for me, it's always been IRL. It's always been in real life. I've always envisioned that. But I really appreciate what you said. It's given me food for thought. Switching it around. very quickly. What do we
Yeah, and we
recommend?
can talk offline
Yeah,
easily,
you,
which
we'll talk. I've got a
absolutely.
couple of
Yeah,
questions.
it's my pleasure. I'm the same. I had 33 episodes of That Girl from Jersey podcast, beautiful lighting, award-winning camera crew. It was a TV show, but I called it a podcast because what else are you gonna do, right? So it could have gone right onto a channel. It was perfect. And check it out because I was 125 pounds heavier in this, right? Classic. It was great not being that overweight, but it was like to see the difference. And the feedback I got was the people who were tuning in, they tune in to my brand because you never know what I'm going to say next. So I'll give good sound bites, but you'll never know randomly what story I'll tell. That girl from Jersey, I just started interviewing people and I was more engaged. I didn't hand them over the mic, but it was all about them. And winging it when you're a guest and winging it when you're interviewing people, I wouldn't wing it too much when you're interviewing. So I just want to make sure we gave that advice before. Like there is a pattern to a good interview. I want to make sure, and you do that well.
I would agree with that. You have to ask yourself the question, do you want to be a host? Because although it might look easy or it might look like, oh, Alex just hands that mic over and then she's done for the day. We have prep
Yeah,
calls
no,
before I do my research. I know who I'm interviewing and also I'm listening very intently throughout. And there's certain things I'll pick up, which I
it's
know the
true.
listener will enjoy. So you definitely have to ask that question. It's the same in TV. It's the same in production. Can you see yourself doing this for the long run?
What you do, Alex, by handing over the mic, what they might not know is you already interviewed me prior where she asks a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
So Alex isn't letting anybody on and then giving them the mic. I don't know if everybody realizes that. So, there was a lot of work that you did
Yeah.
just to get us here. And so I think the way you do it is brilliant, but gosh, it's not it's the road less traveled. Like it's difficult the way you
Yeah.
do it. You do all this work behind the scenes and then it looks so easy, but it's the opposite of that. So let me just be the one to say, like, the way you're doing it is hard,
Yeah.
but it pays off because it's good.
The most rewarding, but also that's given me food for thought. Maybe it's, a bonus episode. I'll come on and actually walk through my process on how I do it because it is valuable for people to know that. And obviously in the beginning, I didn't have anyone to share with
Right.
me their kind of war stories on podcasting. I said to myself, what would my style be? What would make me comfortable and the guests comfortable? That was the main aim.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. To finish up, I would keep building the brand and getting media for the brand and then really having the guests that appear, having like an activation plan and trying to just keep getting that next level of guest to bring in the popularity of it. And so then they want to be on your show. I have this amazing fun idea for virtual events that I'd love to talk to you about because I already have the marketing plan. It's like 103 pages. Let's do
Okay.
it. Yeah, let's do it.
But can we
But that's what I would do.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's food for thought for me. I'm always going to push back. I think
Yeah.
I'll push back until we do the pilot, until we're in person and I feel right. Maybe now it's time. I think for me, I have to see everyone, speak to people, and then go from there. Yeah, but it's food for thought for me.
What you could do now is in the middle of this, when you rebut or when you say something, add why that matters to you. Audience is still listening to me cackle on, but then they learn something about you as well.
But switching it around. What are we? And now you're making me think about everything that I say, but I don't care because this is the whole point. But switching it around, what
Yeah.
can you recommend to the listeners in terms of doing their own possible PR? Because you're obviously trying to help if they can't have one-to-one
No,
consultancy.
it's true. So there's a few things and there's a few problems that I think I solved. I do have that group people can join. They can just reach out to me and I'll send them more information. We meet twice a month so people can be part of that group. There's also if people are wanting to be in the media but don't want to do their own pitching to the media, which I get, it's been bothering me because PR firms cost anywhere between, let's say, $5,000 to $15,000 US a month. right? And then you need about 4 to 6 months just to see if it's going to work. So I have people that are like, well, I'm breaking into my kid's college fund, or I've taken my early retirement, or I've taken a second mortgage on my home. Everybody thinks their ideas are so good that it's going to work. I'm sure it's a great idea, but that doesn't mean it's going to work, you know? So I need everybody to be careful. I need everybody to figure out an affordable way to still try. I don't want people to be risk adverse, right? I wasn't about to be able to call up my media pitchers and be like, can you work for $10 an hour? Because we need to help the world. Like, they're like, Erin, you're like, have lost your mind. At the same time, two associates of mine, they're like, what are you gonna switch and work on? And I'm like, because I was just on the board of advisors for a big digital company. And I was like, well, I'm going to build up my consulting practice again and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but I just don't want to pitch the media. One thing led to another. We created a platform that pitches the media for people without me being the PR firm. So we use their information. We schedule a few calls with them. We have them do their pitch letter. But it's me, what I just did with you, Alex. Like, it's me saying, I think a stronger pitch is this and this. Here are some angles. So there's some human consulting where my team is creating the big media database, uses your information, and we just put it into that machine and it pitches the media for you. You see what's going out. It's just auto, and it's doing it consistently for 4 months or the year. You have two choices. The media will reply to the email. You will see it. Maybe there's a form you have to fill out. Maybe they're saying no. Maybe it's an autoresponder that says that person moved on. You're going to get it all, because that's what would happen when you pitch the media from a database. The difference is we are doing it without the human, like, we're scheduling it. Whereas the agency that I was talking about, what if it's Wednesday and the person that's supposed to pitch your account to the media has strep throat? It's not getting pitched. Of course, it's not getting pitched. Thursday, not getting pitched. Friday. You don't want to pitch the media on a Friday. That's the worst day to pitch the media. But she has to do it because she needs to do the status report, right? So it's going to get it done. So you just paid for a week of pitching on a Friday during the summer. Let's make it even more fun. And they're not even there. So by the time they come back to check, we still pitched you on Wednesday because we didn't get strep throat. So it's consistent, and consistency is what gets you in the media. PR firms like me. That's a special pitch. There's so much media out there that there's low-hanging fruit, medium fruit. You're going to get pitched in my platform to them all. Don't get me wrong. But to me, the biggest success is the volume. If you want to be a best-selling author, I want to know what you're doing. And the best way to do that is for you to show me, like, clips. I will take this interview and I will have my team slice it and dice it, and I'll put it out on my socials, because then people who want to work with me to pitch them to the media or be in the Erin On Demand group, this is a much more effective way to tell people how I want to work with them versus me being like, hi, everyone. Yeah, I really want you to pay me $500 a month for me to consult you. I can hot seat you. Yet doing a video like that every once in a while is effective. Do you understand? You get what I'm saying, right? So that's my story. Just call me, everybody. We'll figure you out.
We will. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast. It's been a fantastic opportunity today for the listeners to hear from Erin, who's had an absolutely stellar background, doing so much for people who do have budget, and then for people who possibly have a little bit of a lesser budget, giving your top tips. I love the idea of the round table and what you're currently building. So for any listeners out there who want to understand more about media, more about the training, more about the PR side, how to do it yourself, but then also hiring Erin and her team, do get in touch. She's available across all platforms. I'll link everything, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Bye.